$25K invested in the S&P 500.
Don't add anything else.
Yeah, I won't do like any additional on a monthly return. And then the S&P is usually like right around 12%, but I'll stay conservative.
Just do
10%.
Yeah.
For 13 years. That means that $25K turns into $91,000.
Yeah. Welcome to Loans Elevated, the podcast that brings you the latest industry news, expert interviews, and insightful discussions that will help you stay ahead in this dynamic market. I'm your host, Broch Lassig, and I've spent years in the trenches of the mortgage industry, helping individuals and businesses navigate the complex landscape of real estate financing.
I'm your co-host, TJ Heidenreich, and together we'll cover a wide range of topics, from business strategies that skyrocket your success to mindset and motivation that fuel your growth.
All right, Ryan. Today, talking about a couple different things, all things affordability, because it's still the hottest topic and the most amount of questions I get with real estate agents and clients.
Mm-hmm.
So diving into it, talk about three different things: payment subsidy, income tax savings, and actually, it's not really income tax savings, it's just tax savings in general.
Yeah.
And rate buydowns. So diving into payment subsidy, what do your conversations look like with borrowers on this?
Yeah.
And
well,
realtors?
I think there's because we've got temporary buydowns, which is a payment subsidy, but it's more so controlled by the lender and paid for by the seller.
Yeah. And everybody's talking about there's like 2-1 buydowns or 3-2-1 buydowns.
Yeah, which are pretty common at this point. I would imagine most people who have paid attention to the housing market the last couple of years are familiar with those.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think we tend to talk about the subsidy where we call it become your own bank. So a lot of people are under the misconception that you need to come in with 20+% down, and instead we have the conversation of, if it's primarily driven to save money, there's better ways to save money. Put less money down, stay more liquid, and then subsidize your own monthly payment.
Yeah. I kind of ran a scenario for this instance. So let's say you're buying a $500,000 house, putting down 20%, because everyone seems to, if they're not a first-time home buyer, don't have any money to their name, or just are scraping by to come up with the minimum down payment, seems like that magical number is always 20%. That's just what the media always portrays you need.
Mm-hmm.
So
or that's like the prime loan, right?
Yeah.
It's like the best loan that you can get.
Yep, that's what everyone always thinks. Well, here at Cross Country Mortgage, we've got a product that allows you to put down just 15%, still avoid mortgage insurance, because that's why everyone wants to get to the coveted 20% down.
Yep.
Your payment difference is $158 more by putting 5% down, 5% less down. In this case, that's $25K you can keep liquid you can keep in your pocket. So,
which is a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
$25,000.
So if you use this $158 per month, you can keep from the reserve. You can keep that same payment that you were going to have with 20% down for 13 years.
I was about to say, just under 13 and a half years.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So meanwhile, that $25K stays liquid in case of emergency, because today's world is so unpredictable. You don't know when you're going to lose your job, or what emergency is going to happen, or what's going to happen with the house that you might need to repair or fix or whatever.
Well, and if you ask people the right questions, or you really talk through that mortgage insurance and the monthly payments, and you really ask them, like, why is that so important to you to save X amount per month? Well, I want the lowest monthly payment possible. Well, why is that? Well, because if I lose a job or something like that, I want to keep my expenses low.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is if you lose a job and you're out of liquidity, it doesn't matter if
you're surviving 0 months.
Yeah, exactly. You have 0 months of survival.
This, at least, let's see, the $25K, because the payment on this is roughly going to be $2,800 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That $25K can at least keep you afloat for 8 months on making your mortgage payments,
which is significant.
Yeah, that's enough time.
Even in a slow
to find a job
market,
yeah,
you would find a job before 8 months if you're really trying.
Right, and maybe it doesn't replace the full amount of income you had. Maybe it's a lesser paying job in that 8 months' time, but at least it's something.
But either way, it gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to take on those financial storms rather than using all that liquidity to save $150 a month.
Yeah. So we call this the BYOB strategy, and this is really meant for people that want to keep more cash on hand, those expecting rates to drop that eventually want to lower their interest rate.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about this before. We have no crystal ball, but 13 years, that's a long time.
Well,
Rates are definitely going to be in a lower position they are now in the next 13 years.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, too, a lot of people, even if it's not like I'm scared of losing my job thing, they're like, well, I want to keep my expenses low so I can save enough so I can retire someday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, taking it a step further, if you keep the $25,000, and let's say you don't need it to subsidize the monthly payment.
Yeah.
Invest it in the stock market over the same amount of time.
Yeah,
you're going to be paying that 30-year mortgage. That's going to get you closer to retirement.
Well, dude, let's just run the math on that. So I'm just going to go to a compound calculator. 25K invested in the S&P 500.
Don't add anything else.
Yeah, I won't do like any additional on a monthly return. And then the S&P is usually like right around 12%, but I'll stay conservative.
Just do 10.
10%?
Yeah.
For 13 years, that means that 25K turns into $91,000.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wanting to actually get towards retirement, if that's the biggest concern of keeping your expenses low right now, there's much better ways to do it because you appreciate on the house regardless how much you put into it.
Right.
The goal is to find a payment that's manageable, not necessarily the ideal payment, because we could always be chasing the ideal payment. I mean, I wish my mortgage was $1,000 a month.
Yeah, for real.
Right?
For real.
But
for real.
When you really think about it that way, I mean, put the least amount you possibly can into the deal, stay as liquid as possible, and invest the rest.
Yeah. So I just ran the math the other way. Okay. So if you were to put that 25K back in the mortgage, that was changing your monthly payment by about $158 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about, we'll just round up, $25,000 over the course of 13 years. $25,000 versus $91,000. I'm gonna take $91,000 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, 100%.
So
whether it's to, eliminate fears about losing a job and making sure your expenses are low, or it's making sure you get to retirement, I mean, that is the solution for either one.
Yeah, yeah. Or if it's someone that and this is the same idea with the S&P, but if it's someone that wants to have a portfolio of real estate, well, down payments on investment properties aren't cheap. That's going to be 20-25% down.
Yeah.
So might as well keep some more cash liquid for down payment on other properties.
Exactly. There's so many benefits.
Yeah. So let's talk about tax savings. So in the past, mortgage rates were so low that homeowners weren't paying enough in property tax, or excuse me, in interest, that they weren't able to take advantage of the taxes that were currently the way it's constituted.
Because they weren't paying enough, or they didn't have a high enough deduction to exceed the standard deduction which the government gives you based on your tax bracket. And so, a lot of the time that mortgage interest is what a lot of people needed to go an itemized deduction versus a standard, which you want to go itemized if you can, because then you can exceed the standard deduction.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, who wants to pay more in taxes? If you can find ways to eliminate your tax bill, it's more money in your pocket. Oftentimes people aren't considering that in their equation. Okay, how many times are we off when we're talking to our clients, anywhere between $300 to $500 a month as far as payment preference? Most times.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant what we're quoting versus that. Yeah, for sure.
Most times we're needing to bridge a gap of anywhere between $300 to $500.
Which is tens of thousands of dollars they need to bring into
the actual mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the tax savings alone, the silver lining of the higher interest rates is now you actually have the ability to now itemize
you hit on the head.
deduction, and you could even be pocketing another $200-$300 a month just in tax savings because you're now paying more on mortgage interest.
Same circumstance, $500,000 loan amount, and the annual interest that was paid back in the COVID era was around $15,000. Now the annual interest paid in today's market is right around $32,000. Mm-hmm. But because of you're paying more in interest, writing that interest off, that's an extra $4,200 per year in tax savings. And we're not CPAs, so definitely consult a tax professional about this. We're just
for everyone
kind of eyeballing this.
Yeah.
This is assuming a 24% tax bracket, but divide that by 12, that's $350 a month you're saving.
Right.
So I mean, of course, higher rates suck, but this is a silver lining. It's not as it seems, where if you were usually paying to Uncle Sam at the beginning of the year, now you might be getting a little bit of a refund because of these tax breaks.
Well, you're paying interest towards an asset that you own that's appreciating in value significantly. That's likely going to be the biggest leg of your retirement. So, I mean, you tell me, would you rather pay the interest on a mortgage securing an asset that appreciates, or would you rather continue to rent because it's cheaper and save money monthly and have no tax deductions?
Yeah. Last time I checked, there's no tax deductions for
No,
paying your landlord.
Not at all. So, I mean, that alone is crazy. I was just talking to my dad, and he was saying that he doesn't have any tax deductions. He's in the same boat. I mean, empty nesters now, pretty much.
Right. No, it's true.
Mortgage interest, he's got a 2% rate on his mortgage. He's talking to me this year. He's like, I have no write-offs.
Yeah,
None.
it's true.
You know, and the thing is, you either get a bigger refund at the end of the year with the silver lining of higher mortgage rates.
Yeah.
Or you can adjust your filing to your employer, and you can actually just keep.
Yeah, I think it's called. Is it I-9? What's it called?
Yeah, I can't remember the
I can't remember
exact
what it's called.
form.
We'll figure it out and
always
plug it.
blow
If
it.
you
Yeah,
can find it, we'll put it in here. But anyways,
But you could adjust it and then just pocket that per month.
yeah, you could change it so for every paycheck you're pocketing an additional $170 a month in this circumstance.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if
Or excuse me, per paycheck, not per month.
right,
Yeah.
which is huge. If you were $350 off, but you're netting that much more per month just from the tax deduction alone, well,
Right.
we've solved your affordability issue.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And then last one, this is more common. This is what a lot of people talk about. This is just 2-1 buydowns and or buydowns in general.
Yeah.
I still, in some instances, I will suggest permanent buydowns. Very rarely though. Right now.
Yeah.
It's got to make sense. It's got to be
It definitely has to be seller paid.
It's got to be seller paid, or it's got to be someone that
needs
they're
it for qualification.
They need it for qualification, or that this property they're purchasing as a primary residence right now, but they know in just over a year's time they're going to turn it into an investment property.
Yeah,
Then-
that's a big one.
then
I've had
may-
a couple clients. like
Yeah,
that.
then maybe we'll buy down the interest rate permanently because if
Getting
you
better terms
refinance
today.
it, when you refinance a loan as a primary mortgage, you sign documents stating that you're going to occupy us as a primary residence for at least 365 days.
Yeah.
So, and if the goal is to turn this into an investment property within a year, well, odds are when you refinance to an investment loan, rates are going to be higher than primary residence. So at that point, we're going to go more aggressive with buying down the rate. It just makes
Well,
sense.
and just interest rate buydowns in general. It's more of a, especially permanent rate buydowns. I mean, temporary definitely are more commonly discussed today. But if we were still missing the mark on monthly payment and we were wanting to put more money down to combat the higher payment, we would just visit the same amount of money used towards an actual permanent rate buydown.
Right.
The amount of savings is going to be, oftentimes double for the same amount of cash in monthly savings.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's all about, if that is your goal, our job is to get you the most cost-effective way to get you to the payment goal that you're looking for. And oftentimes it's not in ways that you would think. Most people are like, well, I want a lower payment. I just need to put more towards the house. That's like the last option as far as efficiency.
Yeah, for sure. And this is stuff that we do all day, every day. If you've got questions, lean on us. This is what we're here for. And I think that kind of wraps up payment subsidy, savings, all things trying to save money wherever we can. So if you guys have any questions, though, put questions down in the comments. We're here for you.
Thank you for tuning in. For more industry insights, follow us on all platforms at Loans Elevated.
And to get in touch with our team, call or text 801-713-4000 or visit loanselevated.com.